On Trade Stop, we got Andrew Smidt with Northwestern Mutual, and financial planner, advisor / financial guru. You mean to put that on there?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
if,
the money man.
Yeah,
The money man.
Yeah,
Andrew, the money
yeah.
man. I like that one. He is the best at it, for one, but also the president of the chapter for BNI that we represent and that we are a part of.
We'd stayed elite.
We'd stayed elite, buddy. Yeah.
It's good.
That thing is, man.
It's humming.
He called me right after that, David, and he's like, yeah, like I want to do this. And then he starts asking a bunch of questions. And I was like, yeah, man, like it's legit. And he was like, you asked me a while back. I think it was a couple years ago, but it was for the RV side of it to come to one of those. And it was a visitor's day. And he's like, I should have went then. And I was like, you were busy. You were tied up. I get it.
Yeah.
Things happen for a reason. So now that was awkward for him because he was like, I don't know what to do. I want to do it like right now. I want to just be like, can I fill out the paper? And so he brought his other guy for the RV side. And he wanted to do both, but he was like, I think it would just be more valuable for me to just sit in this seat because you guys are trades heavy. Yeah. So it's like, well, whatever you feel is going to be best for you. As you can see, this chapter is, man, it's on fire. So
yeah. I'm excited. We got just some amazing people and getting to build the culture that we want, not accept just anybody. It's good. It's good, man.
That's always the key. Yeah. Not just, hey, yeah, we have that spot open. Here you go. Just because you paid your money or, your dues. That in itself, especially when Preston said, we really grilled her for that spot. That's gonna keep us strong for not just putting somebody in there.
Yeah.
So, well, let's talk about Andrew. Who is Andrew? Where did Andrew come from? A little bit more in depth of a one-to-one. Because, I mean, you and I have talked. We've had several conversations. So tell me, who is Andrew Smidt? Who's the man behind the money?
The man behind the money. Yeah, other people's money. Well, I'm not originally from the Wichita area. I'm from 8 hours north. Right now, very cold, South Dakota. Sioux Falls, if you've ever even heard of it.
Oh, yeah.
But, lived there my whole life through high school. Loved cars growing up. So that's what I pursued first. Kind of went to school for a little bit, mechanical engineering, the hope was to go work for one of the big car manufacturers, right? But a few years into that program, I realized, man, I really like the hands-on stuff more than the conceptual engineering, in the background. And what really made me realize that was I had an internship, not for a car manufacturer, that'd have been cool, but it was still back in South Dakota. I designed some testers for them, and then I had to hand off my designs to the shop to build it. And I was kind of like, I want to do both. And so I ended up switching.
That's different too.
And going out to Wyotech for chassis fabrication,
Laramie,
high performance engine building.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know about Wyotech.
Yep. They're not around anymore. No.
When did that stop?
I think it's been a while.
Yeah.
But I mean, I enjoyed it. It was a great program. I mean, you go 9 hours a day, so they get you through there quick. It's not like, 3 to 5 classes a day. You're there for 9 hours a day. And I enjoyed it. I mean, it gave me the springboard to get into a company that I never thought I would as a car guy. I worked for Shelby pretty much right as I finished up. Got a job out in Las Vegas working for Shelby, building custom cars. And had the opportunity of a lifetime in a car guy's eyes of getting to work with the senior designer for 4.5 out of the 6 years I was there. And the two of us basically designed and fabricated all of the prototype stuff that came out of there. So it was a blast, man. Got to learn from somebody who'd been doing it a long time, and so much fun. Thought I'd be doing it forever.
You still like a Shelby Mustang?
I mean, I'll take one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got a 68 Mustang in my garage, actually, that is right in the middle of project mode. I haven't touched it for a while, since starting as a financial advisor a couple of years ago. It's just my schedule changed. So in between building cars and this, I pastored for about 7 years. And so because I work Sundays, I usually took Fridays off. So Friday, Saturday was my day off. And Fridays, I was home by myself, right? Kids are at school or daycare. My wife was working Fridays. And so bought a car, worked on it. Then when I switched, then when I switched, like Monday through Friday, I'm working all the time. And, as a financial advisor, I'm a business owner. It's exactly starting a new business, right? You have to go out, you got to find the clients. There's a lot of work, a lot of time. And so the time that I'm not working, I don't want to be in the garage away from my family, So I haven't really touched the car for a while. So if anybody watching really wants to buy a 68 Mustang, bare metal on a rotisserie, give me a call. Because I hate for it to just sit there, for the next few years until either my kids are interested or Well,
maybe it's something you could also build with them, because I thought about actually doing that. I have some garage space. I say that now, but she wouldn't agree. I wanted to do like a Fox body GT. That was one of my very first cars, was a 93 Fox body.
Okay.
And ever since having that and just that true tone of the 5.0, I've been a Mustang fan. So not really a Ford fan.
Right.
It was purely all in the Mustang, especially the 5-liter.
Yeah.
That specific motor and the tone that it made, it was so distinct. You could catch it out of anything running by. Be like, there's a 5.0 right there. So,
dude, I'm the same way though. Like, I was never a Ford fan growing up. I was a Mustang fan, but otherwise I was like, man, the Ford Probe, what an ugly car. Yeah. Like even like their trucks back then, I didn't really care for.
And the lightning, bubble look on the lights and everything.
Yeah.
Nah.
But all of that changed. Like, I'm actually a really big fan of a lot of Ford now. Around 2010, 2012. Yeah. Around there, I think they kicked someone out of the design department and brought someone else in, because things changed quite a bit. And I'm like, man, I like most of their vehicles now.
I say that and I'm like, I have a F-150.
Yeah.
So, once I drove it and the experience that I've had with it, now it is newer, the Black Ops edition.
Yeah.
So, I love it. Like, and one of the guys that work with us at Shield, he has a newer F-250. Uriel ended up buying an F-250. Shortly after, of course, all the Chevys seemed to have issues just left and right, and he was like,
"It's amazing how that stuff transfers, right?"
Yeah, he's like, "Well, we're gonna try." So he's loved it, and we've had great experience with it so far. I'm thinking about actually switching to an F-250, just because I drive so much. I need a little bit better fuel economy with the diesel, and I can just let it sit there and run. With what I'm kind of transporting back and forth, it makes it a little easier for me, and it's a bigger truck. So
yeah.
But I mean, I never knew that about you, Andrew. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Wyotech, man. So I wanted to go to Wyotech. I ended up going to UTI.
See, that was Houston. The other one on the table.
Yeah. I ended up going to Houston, and I went for the program for BMW. I think they changed kind of the program courses.
Yeah.
But that was quite the experience. And there was a custom motor shop not too far from the Houston area
Mm-hmm.
that built custom motors for like NHRA,
Yeah.
NASCAR.
Yeah.
I think they even did some stuff for like Wyotek. Like they would send custom blocks.
Mm-hmm.
So you would get more into the custom motor side of it.
Yeah.
Worked for a little while in that field, and yeah, I was young, stupid, and things just didn't go the way that I planned them to
Yeah.
go. So,
Yeah.
but I'm here now. I mean, kind of look back on all of it, and quite a change. So,
Mm-hmm.
so how was Vegas? You lived out in Vegas, because I
Yeah.
remember you
Yeah.
telling me like I'm from Vegas, and I was like, "You're from Vegas?"
Yeah, not from. Yeah. South Dakota, born and raised.
Okay.
I moved to Las Vegas 2006, a couple weeks after graduating from Wyotek. I happened to connect with somebody
Mm-hmm.
from school. He did the same thing I did. Went back home, started looking for the right job and not just the first job.
Yep.
And we happened to just connect. Like we weren't even really good buddies at school. Like we hung out a little bit, but he went back, applied a bunch of places. Shelby was one of them. And they were just starting to do Mustangs again. Like they had done the Cobras, they had done all kinds of things in between, but Mustangs hadn't been built at the Shelby plant since 1969 at that point. The ones that were in the 70s were just a co-op with Ford that came out of the Ford assembly line, but, had design input from Shelby. And obviously, I'm sure they paid him a pretty penny to put his name on them.
Yeah.
But
Just to sell.
yeah,
it.
dude, just kind of luck that we talked and he's like, hey, we're just ramping up. They want other people who have the work ethic like me, like they asked if I know anybody else. So he's like, dude, turn in an application. That was a Tuesday. I had an interview on Tuesday. So I probably turned it in on Monday or whatever. I had an interview on Tuesday over the phone, got offered the job, I think the next day. And I was there by Monday or Saturday. I think Saturday.
Wow.
I drove out there on like Friday, Saturday. And it was great, man. I thought I'd be there, for life pretty much. A dream job working for Shelby as a car guy. In 4.5-ish years, I worked my way up to middle management. They put me in charge of the whole paint department, which is ironic because I had never worked in a paint department before. But, I just everything that I got to learn while I was there. But yeah, and then, man, God had different plans. Ended up calling me into ministry, and while I was on the journey of looking like what that looks like.
Yeah, that's quite the transition.
It is.
Car guy
Yeah.
to
pastor.
Yeah.
Custom cars to custom lives is what is how someone put it.
So how did that get started?
Yeah, man, I took my first mission trip ever with the church that found me in Las Vegas, of all places, to the Philippines. And I spent just 10 days unplugged from everything, normal daily life, and just getting to see God at work, for 10 days doing nothing but serving him. And it was life-changing. I remember coming back and back at work. And at that point, this was when I was running the paint department. And so we had 2 buildings that our paint department was spread out for and 3 paint booths. And one of the paint booths wasn't run full time. It was kind of like the primer and the small parts booth, where the other ones is where the cars and the big parts went.
Right.
And so at the time it wasn't being used. And I still remember vividly calling my dad in the middle of the day. He's back in South Dakota. And I'm crying, dude. I'm hanging out, hiding in this paint booth, and I'm like, I do not know how to go back to doing this thing that I love doing.
Right.
But I'm like, I don't know. I can't help but think that God has something different for me. I don't know what it is. And that's when it started. So that just began a year-long just prayer journey for me of God, seems like you're doing something different in my life. I don't know what it is. I'm just going to pray and find out what it is. And eventually realized being called into ministry, didn't know what that looked like. Ended up, he just led me to move back to South Dakota, where maybe a month or 2, I'm back there and get the first opportunity to lead worship I had picked up a guitar for the first time in my life 4 months prior to that, because God had told me he wanted to use me to lead worship. And I was like, ha, got the wrong guy. I hate being in front of people. I have only ever sang to the radio, never been in choir or anything like that. I don't play an instrument. Wrong guy. You got the wrong guy, you know. But he made absolutely clear. So I ordered a guitar offline, I think. This is when YouTube was like just starting to be a thing. I came with the DVD. I learned like 4 chords, and I didn't learn them well. Just got an opportunity, you know, to lead worship terribly, I might add, at a small little church plant there. One of the guys there introduced me to another church up the road that had people my age rather than a lot of people my parents' age, because this was their church that they were at that point. Connected with the pastors there, and they led me to go back to school. Got a bachelor's in biblical studies, all online, while I was working in a hot rod shop there, and then made the transition to full-time ministry. Well, it was part-time, but full-time to me, because I was also still going to school to get that degree and get ordained. But you know, in the midst of everything, God's got a plan, you know.
Turned you into a rock star for Jesus.
Yeah,
You're like,
rock star.
This guy.
Yeah.
Never played a guitar. Watch this.
Yeah.
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 That's
Only
awesome.
God can do that, you know. Yeah. And now, as you see, I'm super comfortable in front of people. And that was the worst thing in the world for me.
Really?
The worst. Dude.
Yeah, because you are very, I don't want to really say charismatic, but you lead very well.
Mm-hmm.
There's certain things that people definitely need as president for a BNI group to corral that many people together and lead them and it still be engaging. So I've been through quite a few presidentes that did not know what they were doing. You could definitely tell that they were extremely uncomfortable. They didn't corral and get the herd to kind of be quiet,
right?
Listen up,
right?
This is what we're gonna do, and you have that. It's almost natural for you.
It feels natural now.
Yeah.
It definitely wasn't that way for the majority of my life until I made that.
And you're
leap.
How old now?
I'm 41.
41. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of transition, a lot of different things that you've been through.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So then amongst all of that and what that puts you as far as the path that puts you on for 7 years of ministry, what got you into being a financial advisor? Now you're like, all right, I want the money, so I'm going to work with the money.
Yeah, actually, no, not. That wasn't really even a thought at all. I'm not someone who's driven by money. Years ago, probably, but I've never really made much of it. And we've always had what we need, not a bunch of extra, but what we need. And so that I know at its core, like God is always taking care of us. He always will, no matter what. And even in ministry, we've always been just fine, but what really led me from what people look at as full-time ministry, pastoring, to what I do now, which for me is still ministry. Like I made an intentional move in how I'm doing ministry. And that really just came down to the culture around and what impact the church in America, at least, is really having to reach people who aren't already Christians, who aren't already going to church, right? And I don't want this to turn into like a whole sermon or anything like that. But that's what led me was after the, honeymoon phase of getting into anything new, right, like ministry, I just realized that the church is mainly passing around Christians and some are going out the door. And every once in a while, 1 or 2 people come in, but it's more you know, the amount of people who claim to be Christians, it just continues to go down, 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 right? Because the church is not doing a good job at reaching people, you know, and I don't think it's the church's fault, right? But it's just not the way it used to be.
Right.
My parents' generation, our parents and grandparents' generation, it wasn't like, do you believe in God or do you go to church? It was, which church do you go to in town? Because you saw everybody there. You know, no matter what they really believed inside, that was just the cultural norm.
Right.
Right. And because of that, I think every Christian, for the most part, you know, like just grew up having no stake or no bent towards needing to share their faith. Who do you share your faith with if everyone already goes to church and believes, you know? And so I think that's really why we found ourselves where we're at, is that nobody knows how to share their faith or make a disciple truly, right? They just know how to invite someone to church. The people say, it's not really my thing. And you're like, okay, cool. You know, I mean, that's as far as it goes for most people.
I think there is a big cultural shift, and I've noticed it.
Yeah.
My mom was very, very Bible thumping, to say the least. I mean, it was, you know, about the most that you could get. She wasn't strict in any way, shape, or form, and she wasn't like abusive with it, but she was quite the, you know, tote the line and everything by the book and how it all was. So I grew up with that. It didn't in any way, shape, or form sway me from being a part of it.
Right.
I've, you know, been off track on my faith for quite some time due to situations that happened with her and other parts of my life. But
sure.
Over the past, I don't know, couple years now, I'd say, he's made a very, very large and loud presence in my life. And I finally just have stopped and been like, okay, I'm going to listen and let you kind of, it's in your hands. Like, I'm just going to kind of go this direction and stop making choices and stop fighting it. Stop. Just like with this, you know, like how did all this kind of come about? Whenever you and I first talked, would you have ever told me or even thought that I would have been one that's like, I'm going to start a podcast one day, you know?
You know, these days, you never do know. Everybody's
know.
got a podcast.
And I woke up one morning and was just told to do it. Use that voice for good. So I'm kind of letting him do whatever. So let it go in the direction that it's going to go, because that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, man. So getting from there to here, right? Like, I mean, first I want to make it clear, like, I still am part of a church. So I think that there are churches doing great things still. But we need more people out in the marketplace, right? And so, not to put my calling on any other pastors out there, but I feel like God called me to reach the lost, and it was really hard to do that as a pastor of a church. You can shepherd people, but it's really hard to reach the lost as a pastor of a church, at least for me. And so I felt God for actually several years, talking about maybe going co-vocational, where I'm working in the marketplace, doing something totally different, maybe half the time, you know, pastoral duties and whatever.
Reaching out in a different way.
Yeah. And eventually, you know, I just continued to pray about it, ask God. And I mean, we tried so many different things as a church to reach the lost. It's not like, you know, we didn't do any good things in the midst of that. It just I wasn't fulfilling the calling God gave me. And I felt more and more discontentment with that. I was not doing that, right? And every time I'd ask God, do you want me to make a change? What do I need to do? It was still like, nope, just stay where you're at. And eventually that answer was, yes, it's time to make a change. And I said, okay, I have no idea what I'm going to do. But I trust you, right? Like, I could go and build cars again. But I knew three things when I was leaving full-time vocational ministry. I knew that I needed to be in a job, a career position where I got the opportunity to interact with a lot of people on a regular basis, just a lot of people. If I build cars, I don't get to do that, right? I get to know a car really well while I'm working on it, building a custom hot rod.
You building a nice relationship with that piece of machine.
With that car. Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, we know each other real good,
Yeah.
right? And you might get to know 3 to 5 people in a shop.
Right.
That's the size of most shops that do custom work, And so I'm like, if I need to make money, I can make money at 100 different things, right? That was the least of my worries. But a job where I get the opportunity to interact with a lot of people, a lot of different people, whether or not they're Christian or not, who knows until you meet them, right? But it gives me the opportunity to meet a lot of people and build relationships that then God can ordain our conversations, right? And so I knew that. And then I also knew that God created me to be a servant of people. And so it had to be something in my mind, what he told me is serving people in a practical way, right? And so as a pastor, you wear a lot of hats. And then just as an individual, because of maybe how you're wired, you end up doing a lot of things, or people are drawn to you for different things. And over the years, both my wife and I, we ended up helping a lot of people on the financial side, not to the caliber or the extent of what I do now, right? But in a super amateur level, was already acting in a financial advisor type of capacity for many people. And as a pastor, you get to really see into people, what drives them, what stresses them out. And finances is the number one stressor.
Yeah.
For almost everybody.
Yeah.
Like when you look at things that cause marital issues and divorce, like, the top 3, the top 2 and 3,
Well, the number
change,
one reason for
but
divorce is marriage.
Yeah. Right. That's the real number one. But yeah, anytime I look at those statistics, anytime we do, messages, series on marriage or anything like that, or stress, like finances is more than double what the number 2 and the number 3 are, right? And that's the leading thing. Whether you have a lot of money or you have a little, it seems to equally stress people out, And so
I can see that.
Yeah. I just honestly, things that met those characteristics, I was just applying for and saying, God, I'll put in a bunch of applications, a bunch of resumes at different things that, I can earn a living at, but practically serve people in a way that's meaningful and be in an industry where I'm meeting a lot of people, right? And God, you do the rest. You open the doors, right? And I ended up going through the process with 2 different financial planning firms at the same time, essentially, who had very similar interview processes. It's very extensive because kind of like realtors, a lot of people want to do it. And about 85% of people don't make it. Yeah. So they want to make sure just as much as you want to make sure that you're not just going to do this for a couple months and bail out, right? So it's very extensive. And at the end of that 1.5, 2-month process of interviews and all kinds of stuff, testing, things like that, I ended up getting offered a job by both of these companies. Like, hey, we're offering the job to one career changer out of 100 or so people that they interviewed over this stint. I was their choice. And I'm like, well, great. At least I know what you want me to do, God, but you couldn't have given just one. Now I got to make a choice. So I said, it was on the same day even that they offered it. And I'm like, okay, so told them both, my wife and I are going to talk about it. We're going to pray about it. And I'll get back to you in the next 3 days or less. And so ended up here. But
awesome.
So that's kind of the crazy road that brought me to where I'm at. And man, I love it.
Well, we never really get anywhere in life if it's just a straight and narrow road.
Mm-hmm.
We have to go through each one of those, tests and testimonies to be able to get our correct path down and have the experience knowledge to lead others the right way.
That's right.
So I've had, quite the crazy life as well. Happy that I'm here, regardless of whatever situations that kind of come up. I've learned a lot, and not quite 40 yet, but I can share a lot of advice with people and be like, what you're about to do is wrong. Or, think about it like this, whether you listen to me or not, that's your own choice.
Yeah.
But I've seen quite a bit of problems and issues and went through this stuff myself. And yeah, I mean, if we all just walk that straight and narrow and one way street, it could be we're not learning anything, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So a lot of people would probably look at you changing careers and career paths as a negative. I look at it as positive. Now, if you're in a position for 3 months and then you go to another one for 6 months and then you go back to,
it's a little different.
Then that's like, slow down. No, you're just.
I've had 2 main careers. First one was 10 years, custom car builder. 2 different shops during that time, but 6 and 4.
Yeah.
And then 2 different churches, essentially, that I was like on staff after I left my job.
So
to go full
put
time.
that in the career, as well, or working.
I mean,
knowledge.
basically, yeah. I mean,
you learn a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked honestly since I was first making money when I was 10 years old. And started babysitting. My mom did daycare. One of the kids just absolutely loved me there, and his parents were like, "Is he old enough to babysit yet?" my mom's like, "Yeah, I think he probably is." Started babysitting.
Oh, but that was.
And then I started mowing lawns
then.
for the people across the street, And by 14, I had my first, real job where they actually give you a paycheck and not just cash. But
14.
Yeah, I mean, as far as careers though, custom car builder for a decade, not quite a decade on the ministry side. Plan to be in this one for.
We come from different times.
Yeah.
Than these people nowadays, man.
Yeah.
Back then it was, you knew to be home whenever the lights were, the street lights were turning on. We didn't just camp out in the house all the time and be on the phone or YouTube or.
Yeah.
Such a different time that we came from.
It really is.
Man, now you can't really trust too many people with just letting your kids kind of wander off.
Yeah, I mean, we don't even like really having our kids out in the front yard without us.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We live on a semi-busy street with no sidewalks. It's stupid. I don't know why someone would create that neighborhood.
No sidewalks on either
no
side?
Sidewalks. Nope, neither side. So yeah, but I mean, people zip down that street. It's not like a steady flow of traffic, but it's enough for like,
right.
I mean, our older 2 are okay out there, but our youngest, who's not quite 4.
So 4 kids.
We have 3.
3.
Yep. 8-year-old boy, he's in 3rd grade. 6-year-old girl in 1st grade, and then our youngest is 3.5, going on 4 in the end of February. Yeah.
Just the one 4-year-old for me.
Yeah.
That's it. So at least that I know of. But yeah, just the one. He definitely the light of my life, and he's what keeps me going, keeps me showing up and doing what I can to serve others and continue my path as well. So, well, what would you say has been your, outside of the career changing and knowing the path that you're going to take, what's been the most challenging aspect with the financial advising, and over the course of time, has that provided those challenges to you to grow and shown, like, have you questioned you actually doing it?
Dude, I'm a business owner, so every single day, right? I mean, maybe not today, but tomorrow, maybe.
Be like, yesterday, why did I do this?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, it really is starting a business. Like, I have resources, which is great. So it's not just like I'm doing this all on my own, being with Northwestern Mutual, but you're a business owner. They're not handing you anybody. you are responsible for creating clientele. So from the very beginning, it's like, I got to go out, I got to meet people. Not being from Wichita, you know,
That provides its own challenges,
that
but it's
provides its
also
own.
probably a good thing.
It can be, yeah. But
There's positive and
I
negative.
mean,
to
if you
that.
really want to do this business well, it's all about relationships, you know, just like our networking group, right? It's all about relationships. And I mean, you can be someone who's transactional, but you're going to have a huge turnover of clients, right? It's really all about relationships and trust. And that's the only kind of business I want to build. But doing it that way takes a little bit more time than doing it the sales way, right? And so, I mean, the biggest challenge is really just that, is it takes time to build a clientele. You know, it takes time to grow. And so nothing in life ever happens as fast as you want it to. You know, being older, you know, like we've had time to build up. Be different if we were like a young family early in careers where, you know, we're just scraping by. And even as a pastor, like we've had time to build up. You know, we've owned a home before. I've owned a couple of homes that we've sold, and you get a little bit off of that, not big bucks, you know, but when you move, you get a little bit of that. And so we were lucky enough to just be in a position where if I'm ever going to start a business, now was a good time. Like, coincidence? Probably not, right? But, you know, I mean, it's very up and down when you start a business.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, you might go a month or two without any money coming in. And that's how it's been for us. And like, I don't ever want anyone I'm meeting with to feel like they have to support me. Like, I want it to be all about them and their finances. So I don't know, there's probably a lot of people out there who have no idea how a financial advisor really even gets paid, right? They meet with you, and I mean, everyone does it a little bit differently, but for the most part, most people I meet with, they don't pay me an hourly wage or anything to meet, right? There's no fee for that. The business in general is kind of moving that direction where more people are wanting that fee-based service. But for the most part, almost every client I have, and hundreds of ones that I've met with who aren't maybe technically clients, you know, they probably have no idea that there is no one giving me a paycheck because I met with you, right? Like, I only get paid if you decide to do business with me in some way, shape, or form. Get you a life insurance policy, some disability, long-term care, investments, open up accounts or roll accounts over, right? Like, that's the only way at this point that I get paid, unless someone wants to engage in a fee-based service. And
does that look different as far as like what you're doing for them?
Like what they get out of it?
Yeah, what they get out of it. Does that change?
Over time, definitely, right? When you're starting, you got all the time in the world to cater to people. But over time, if you get a lot of people to meet with, I mean, everybody needs something a little bit different. And so some people, you know, would like that fee-based service just because of their mind or something they've read that says, you know, hey, there's a conflict of interest if you're getting paid by getting me into a product, life insurance product, or helping me with investments, right? Like, there's a lot of information out there about that. And I think there's a lot of people that's probably true, like, are going to sit down with you and go, how can I get paid from this person? Right. And so I have never, like, I want to make sure that who I've always been, that I protect that. And so I don't ever want to try and get somebody to do something based on what I get paid. You know, that's just a core value of mine, is like planning for the person first. And I know that God will take care of my compensation. Right.
Plant that seed, watch it grow.
Yeah. And so I probably have a lot of clients, honestly, who think of me as their financial advisor, but I've literally made $0 off of, like, I've gotten nothing. And so I can't even tell you how many hours I've probably spent, you know, helping them get to a place where down the road they might become a client as far as, you know, a business is concerned.
I see.
You know what I mean? And so, I mean, that's just the most challenging part, is you put in a lot of time and literally get paid zero for a lot of it, right?
Kind of works that way on this side too, because I get the question. It's not very common, but I get the question of, well, what do you charge for an inspection?
Mm-hmm. Nothing. Yeah.
It's free. Like, are you really being charged for an inspection? Have you been told that?
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't be. It's a free inspection unless there's a lot of work that goes with the commercial side and that a lot of time and things that I need to purchase for it.
Mm-hmm.
Then there might be something that would be charged for that. But that is out of 5 years here in this market with Shield Roofing. I've never charged anybody for an inspection.
Yeah.
And I could work months with nothing from them or that client and hope to get something in return. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. I have a very high close rate, but that's still kind of transactional. I'm there building that relationship the entire time. So I'm focused on the relationship, not quite the sale.
Yeah.
That the sale happens from it and the transaction happens. Great. Wonderful. You know, I got one of the two things that I'm after at the very moment. Build that relationship and watch things grow. And that's why I think not only B&I has been really good in that aspect of learning more relationship based business.
Yeah.
But it's helped me be able to grow and meet individuals just like you.
Right.
Where now I know how to transact that relationship to be able to, how can I provide value to you and help you out so that in the future, whenever you have a client, that the thousands that you're talking to that mention just ever so slightly, hey, I have a roof that needs to be replaced, or I have, you know, a bathroom that needs to be remodeled, or I need some t-shirts made. You know who to react to and how to be able to network for that. So it's very powerful in what we do, providing value back and forth to each other.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite things too.
Yeah.
Is connecting people. Like I know I have, because we track it all. I know that I've made people clients of others, much more than I've made them clients of my own. There's plenty of people that have not, you know, again, as far as a business is concerned, have become my client, but they become other clients of people I've connected them with because I see a need and go, well, I know somebody who does that.
Right.
And they're not just somebody, but they truly are good. Like I've met a lot of people who do X, Y, Z. This person's special, you know? Some of them are in our group. Some of them aren't yet, you know, but
we need to get them.
Yeah.
I know a few that are in other groups.
Yeah. But
well, thank you, Andrew, so much. We're going to have you back on again.
Do a deep dive.
Do another deep dive. Figure out some more about cars. Do you have any photos from the cars that you were working on?
Yeah, I mean, probably not on me, but I mean,
well, that you can share with us maybe a little later on.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I do.
Time in Vegas and all of that.
I might even be up for selling some of my stuff that's autographed by Carol. Who knows? You know, I'm a business owner early on. I sell it. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, that was one of the cool things there is, I mean, at that point, he was pretty old, you know, and he wasn't in the shop a whole lot at that point. But I mean, one of the perks of working there is you get a lot of autographed stuff that probably worth a little bit. I don't know, but
eBay.
Yeah, it was a fun time, man, for sure. It's definitely different living in Las Vegas than visiting.
Oh, I could imagine.
Yeah. I did the whole tourism thing for maybe the first year. And then it was like, oh, you're coming to visit? Cool. Walk the strip, do your thing. I'll meet you for dinner or drinks or whatever afterwards. And, you know, we'll hang out. But I'm done. I've walked the strip enough times.
Yeah.
That I'd steer
I've been out there a couple times and the first time was for 12 days. And I was like, after 8, I was like, I can't do this place no more.
Yeah.
Like I'm ready to go, but I still had a tournament to play and more pool to play. So it was a 12-day trip, and so I was exhausted. The second time that I went out was for pool as well. And my first 24 hours being there, I had already hit $12,000 some in the slots, 4 different hand pays.
And did you give it all back?
No,
by the time
no. I a little bit throughout the course of the week that I was there, but I came home with a good amount.
That's good.
So I stuffed it away, didn't carry it on me.
Yeah.
But it was just a winning week. And sometimes for pool, sometimes for not for pool. The team did pretty good. I did pretty good in singles and some other little smaller tournaments and stuff like that. But it was a blast. It definitely was. So I'm looking forward to maybe going back next year for more pool. Yeah. We'll see. I have a team that's really kind of counting on me to be there to play. So we'll see. But yeah, we'll go and do another deep dive with Andrew, get him back on here. And yeah, man, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.